Wait, are you lost? Because nothing about you says you belong here. Is this a joke somebody set up? Because he cannot be serious. I'm not trying to be rude, but you're making the room look cheap. You need to leave.
The girl laughed in his face in front of everyone. 5 minutes later, she found out who his father was. The venue cost $30,000 to rent for a single night. That number alone told you everything about who was inside. Chandeliers so heavy they groaned against the ceiling. Flower arrangements that cost more than most people's rent. Photographers weaving through the crowd like sharks, capturing every designer label, every gleaming watch face, every strategic smile. Outside, valets sprinted between Teslas and G-Wagons like it was the Olympics. Tonight was Marcus Bellamy's daughter's wedding. Old money meeting new money. Deals getting made behind champagne flutes. Connections getting locked in with handshakes while the DJ played something soft and expensive in the background. Every single person in that room wore their wealth like armor. Every single one. Almost. The security guy at the front entrance had been working events like this for 11 years. He knew the type. He knew who belonged and who was testing the door. So when the kid walked up at 8:47 p.m., the guard's hand moved before his brain caught up. White t-shirt, plain dark jeans, beat-up Nikes that had seen better days. No watch, no chain. A small drawstring bag over one shoulder like he was heading to a gym, not a $30,000 ballroom. The guard blocked the entrance without making it obvious. "Who are you here for?" The kid looked at him. No panic, no apology, just calm. "Bellamy wedding." The guard stared. The kid stared back. There were 200 people trying to get through the door. The guard had no time for a whole interrogation. He stepped aside and let him pass, already mentally blaming the wedding coordinator if something went wrong. The kid walked in. His name was Jordan Calloway, and the moment he crossed that threshold, the room noticed him. Not warmly. People didn't stop talking about him. They talked about him quietly, the way people do when they want you to know you're being discussed but can't prove it. Is he lost? Maybe he's one of the servers. Check his badge. No badge. Walked in from the front. Someone should say something. Jordan heard fragments of it. He always did. He walked to the far end of the room, near the window that looked out over the city skyline, and he stood there alone. His posture was straight. His expression was still. He wasn't performing calm. He actually was calm. That made people more uncomfortable than anything else he could have done. Kayla Bellamy spotted him from across the room. She was the bride's younger sister, and she was stunning in a way she knew about and used deliberately. Red silk dress, hair blown out perfect, nails that matched her shoes that matched her bag. She had been laughing with two of her friends about something, holding a champagne flute she barely touched because she was counting every calorie at events like this. She saw Jordan by the window and stopped mid-sentence. "Who is that?" she said, not asking, announcing. Her friend Brianna squinted. "He came through the front door. I saw him. In that." Kayla's eyebrow went up. The look on her face wasn't anger yet. It was something colder. Amusement. She handed Brianna her champagne. She walked over. Jordan saw her coming. He didn't move. She stopped 2 feet in front of him like she owned the floor between them, which, technically, her family had rented for the night. "Hey!" Her voice was pleasant the way a warning can be pleasant. "Can I ask what you're doing over here?" "Attending the wedding," Jordan said. Kayla tilted her head. "Attending?" "Yeah." She glanced down at his shoes, back up to his shirt. She made the assessment last exactly long enough for him to feel it. "Okay, I'm not going to be mean about this," she said, which was already the meanest possible way to start a sentence. "But this is a private event, and I'm going to need you to show me your invitation, because I've never seen you before in my life." "I don't have a printed invite," Jordan said. "I was called directly." Kayla laughed. Just a quick one, like she couldn't help it. She looked back at Brianna and her other friend Jade, who had drifted closer. "He was called directly?" she repeated, dropping her voice into a register that made the words a joke. Jade covered her mouth. Brianna shook her head slowly like she was watching something secondhand embarrassing. Jordan said nothing. "Look," Kayla said, turning back to him, softer this time, like she was doing him a favor. This is the Bellamy family event. Do you understand what that means? Do you know whose wedding this is? Marcus Bellamy's daughter, Jordan said. Priya. She's marrying Trent Hollis. They met at Columbia. He proposed in Iceland. Kayla's smile flickered. You probably read that online, she said. I didn't. Then who invited you? Jordan looked at her for a moment. Trent. The smile came back, bigger now. More dangerous. Okay. I'm calling Trent over right now, and we're gonna sort this out. Because I think you walked into the wrong venue or the wrong city or something. She pulled out her phone. Jordan watched her and waited. Trent Hollis was 29 years old, broad-shouldered, good-looking in the way of someone who grew up with access to personal trainers and dental care. He was currently taking photos with Priya's grandmother when his phone buzzed. He looked at the message. Read it twice. He smiled. He handed the grandmother his champagne and cut across the room. Jordan was watching the skyline through the window when he heard the footsteps. Calloway. He turned. Trent was walking toward him with his arms already open. He crossed the distance in about 4 seconds, grabbed Jordan by both shoulders, and pulled him into a hug that lasted long enough for everyone nearby to see. I've been looking all over this place for you, man. Why didn't you text me when you got here? Jordan said. Didn't want to bother you on your night. Trent pulled back and looked at him. Are you serious right now? You fly all the way from Portland and you're standing alone by the window? Come on. The room had gone quiet in a spreading circle around them. Kayla stood exactly where she'd been standing. She had not moved. Her phone was still in her hand. The message she'd typed to Trent sat there, already answered by his absence. Trent noticed her. He noticed her expression. Did something happen? He asked. No, Jordan said immediately. No, Kayla echoed half a second later. Trent looked between them. He was not stupid, but tonight was not the night for it. Come meet Priya's dad, he said to Jordan. He's been asking about you. They walked away together. The crowd parted a little without meaning to. Kayla stood there. Brianna came up beside her. Do you know who that is? No, Kayla said quietly. I just asked one of the coordinators, Brianna said. She paused. Jordan Calloway, as in Calloway Group Calloway. Kayla felt something drop in her chest. Say that again. His father is Derek Calloway, like the Derek Calloway. Kayla said nothing. She knew that name. Everyone in this room knew that name. Derek Calloway didn't run a company. He ran an industry. Hotels, tech infrastructure, media. 3 consecutive years on the Forbes list. The kind of wealth that didn't announce itself because it didn't have to. His son, Kayla whispered. His only son, Brianna said. It took 17 minutes for the energy in the room to shift completely. Word traveled the way it always does at events like this. Fast, in whispers, dressed up like concern. Did you hear? That kid in the white shirt. Derek Calloway's. She didn't know. Right to his face. By the time Derek Calloway himself walked through the front entrance at 9:15, the room was already reconstructing itself around the information. He came in without fanfare. That was the thing people always said about him afterward, if they'd never met him before. You expected someone who looked like his bank account. What you got was a man in a clean gray blazer, salt and pepper hair, quiet eyes, and the kind of stillness that made rooms softer when he entered. Marcus Bellamy met him at the door. Shook his hand for a long time. Derek scanned the room. His eyes found Jordan in under 10 seconds. He moved toward his son without stopping to make small talk, without pausing to accept the champagne someone tried to hand him, without slowing down for anyone. He put his hand on the back of Jordan's neck the way fathers do when words aren't enough. You should have told me you were already here, he said. I was fine, Jordan said. I know you were. Marcus Bellamy stood nearby, watching this. He looked at Jordan differently now. The way you look at something you misjudged and are trying to quietly correct your read on. Kayla had been watching from across the room. She watched Derek Calloway walk straight to the kid she had laughed at 20 minutes ago. She watched the way Derek touched his shoulder. The way the whole room tilted slightly in their direction. She understood now what she had not understood before. But more than that, she understood what she had done. She'd had 2 champagnes and she hadn't touched either one. The red silk dress felt too bright. The room felt too loud. She found a quiet corner near the coat check and stood there by herself for a while. Brianna tried to follow her. She waved her off. She needed a minute. The thing about Kayla Bellamy was that she wasn't cruel by nature. She was thoughtful, actually. She read. She volunteered twice a month at a youth center in Midtown. She had opinions about things that mattered. But she had grown up in rooms like this one. And in rooms like this one, you learned fast that appearance was information. What you wore told people who you were. That wasn't vanity, that was just how it worked. Except it wasn't. She knew that. She'd known that for years. She'd just forgotten it tonight. Standing by the coat check, she made a decision. It came to her the way decisions sometimes do. Not like a light turning on, but like a weight dropping. Sudden. Irreversible. She was going to go over there and say it out loud. Not because it would fix anything. It wouldn't. Some moments don't get fixed. They just get survived. But because she wasn't the kind of person who walked away from things she'd broken. At least she didn't want to be. Jordan was standing with Trent and 2 of Marcus Bellamy's business partners when he saw her coming. He recognized her posture immediately. The walk was different. The shoulders were lower. No champagne. No friends flanking her. Trent saw her too. He went quiet. She stopped in front of Jordan. "Can I have like 2 minutes?" she said. To Jordan only. Not to the group. Trent made a small gesture to the others. They drifted away. He followed. Now it was just the 2 of them, standing near the edge of the dance floor while the room moved around them. Kayla looked at him. He waited. "I owe you an apology," she said. Her voice was steady, but the steadiness cost her something. "Not a small one. I talked to you like you didn't belong here. I made assumptions about you based on your clothes, and I said it out loud in front of people, and I made sure you knew what I was doing. That was mean. It was wrong. I'm sorry." Jordan didn't react immediately. She held his gaze because she owed him that much. Not looking away was the least she could do. "I'm not asking you to be cool with it," she said. "I'm not asking you to say it's fine, because it isn't. I just needed to say it." The room moved. The music played softly. A photographer passed by without stopping. Jordan was quiet for long enough that it was uncomfortable. Then he said, "Do you actually believe that? Or are you apologizing because you found out who my dad is?" Kayla felt that land exactly where he'd thrown it. She didn't rush to answer. She thought about it. Actually thought about it. "Both," she finally said. "And I know that's not a great answer, but it's the honest one." Something shifted in his expression. "Okay," he said. "Okay. I believe you." He paused. "And yeah, I forgive you." Kayla exhaled. She hadn't realized she'd been holding her breath. "Why?" she asked. "Because being angry about it doesn't do anything useful," Jordan said. "And because you came over here when you didn't have to. You could have just avoided me for the rest of the night." "That's not how I was raised," she said. "Me neither," he said. A pause opened between them. Not empty. Full of something that hadn't existed 20 minutes ago. "Your dad," she said quietly. I've watched him in interviews. He seems like the real thing." "He is," Jordan said. "He's also the reason I came tonight looking like this." Kayla frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Jordan glanced down at his shirt. "He made me do it. Every year, at least once, he makes me show up somewhere I'm supposed to be in clothes that give nothing away. No name, no status, nothing to hide behind." He looked back at her. "He calls it the real test." "Of what?" "Of the room." Kayla stood with that for a moment. "And?" she asked. "What did the room do?" Jordan looked at her steadily. "You were there." She thought about that for a long time after. Not just that night, but afterward. Weeks later, in random moments. Driving somewhere. Getting coffee. Sitting in a meeting where someone talked too long about something unimportant. You were there. Derek Calloway found his son near the end of the night, when the crowd had thinned and the younger guests were gravitating toward the bar. "How was it?" he asked. Jordan considered. Different this year. Different how? Someone actually came back and apologized. He paused. Genuinely, I think. Derek looked at him. You believe her? Yeah, I do. Derek was quiet for a moment. Then he said, That's rare. I know. What did you do? Forgave her, Jordan said, and told her why. Derek nodded slowly. He put his hand on Jordan's shoulder, the same way he had at the beginning of the night, and left it there for a moment. Good, he said. That was all. But it was enough. The last thing Kayla saw before she left the venue was Jordan standing with his father by the window, looking out at the city skyline. Two men. Same posture. Same quiet. Like stillness was a thing you could inherit. She got in the car and the driver pulled away from the curb, and the venue got smaller in the back window. She thought about the room, about the way it had been arranged around what it could see and not what it couldn't, about what it cost to actually look at someone. 3 weeks later, Kayla was back at the youth center in Midtown where she volunteered. One of the kids, 14, oversized hoodie, headphones around his neck, walked in late and sat in the back without making eye contact with anyone. Some of the other volunteers glanced at each other. Kayla pulled up a chair and sat next to him. What's your name? He looked at her sideways, suspicious, like he was waiting for the next move. Dre, he said. You good, Dre? Yeah. Okay. She didn't push. She just stayed there. After about 10 minutes, he started talking. She never told anyone about that night at the wedding. She didn't post about it. Didn't make it a story about how she grew. She just carried it. Some lessons don't need an audience. The ones that matter usually don't. The most expensive thing in any room is never the chandelier. It's knowing who to look at, and why you almost didn't.